All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are Canadian, you are well aware of the federal NDP convention that just happened and the level of just crazy town is like you are so utterly aware of the level of dystopian reality that you want nothing to do. These are the people that are wanting to run the government who are have these cards and they're basically arguing with one another who's the bigger victim and who's complaining. You misgendered me. I have the equity card. No, I have the equity card. No, my equity matters more than your equity. And it's just these people that are, I identify as this, and therefore you have to treat me as that. And no, I identify with this. And so that trumps your identification of whatever you like. It is crazy town. Okay. Between that and the fact that high up government officials are communicating with each other through blasphemous tweets and crashing out on the internet, then you have people making parodies about like really serious issues, the assassination of Charlie Kirk and what's coming out there. Then you have all levels of government that are basically cramming these agendas down your throat and asking you to believe these dystopian, deranged ideologies and mentalities. It's just enough to make you go absolutely crazy. And it's all by design. Okay, so if you're looking at any part of this, I used to get really caught up in government and politics because the bone for justice in my body would shake so violently because I wanted justice for the earth. I wanted justice for the people, and I would get upset when people that have no business being in politics were in politics. But since the post convergence point that happened in December 2025, there's a level of apathy and a level of like numbness and just complete disassociation from the old earth, from politics, from the government systems, from the lies, parodies, talk shows, podcasts, everything. You've got so many things that are coming to light now, even for the normies. One thing that really woke people up was Jim Carrey, right? That wasn't Jim Carrey. Who was that? Was that a clone? Was that a stand in? Was that somebody wearing a mask? We've known that Joe Biden this whole time hasn't been Joe Biden. You look at the earlobes. Sometimes they're touching, sometimes they're not. There's been videos of the hand going right through a microphone. What is that? A holograph? There's been glitches in the matrix. Like that old system is crumbling. And then you have the people that are still barely hanging on by a thread, but they're just pushing the narrative. They're pushing an agenda and they will stop at nothing. They have been debunked and they're going to die with the lie. But the level of derangement that we're watching in Canada right now is next level. But if you're not a person that has already grown completely detached from that, I encourage you to do that because that is not the old earth paradigm that we are going to fix by any means at any level. Okay. Your efforts are best spent now looking towards the future and completely detaching from that old reality and creating an entirely new one because you're not going to change that timeline. That timeline is going to keep going with the transhumanism, with the misgendering, with the I identify as black when I'm white, and the racism and white face and black face, and I identify as a furry and I'm going to, use a cat litter box. And it just these insane ideologies that are getting crammed down our throats, and it is dystopian reality. It is designed to get to a point where you're looking at it as a satire, as a parody. You're looking at it as this can't be real. It absolutely has to be a Saturday Night Live skit. These people in power that used to be highly revered individuals, like the president of the United States and stuff, it's all a joke. I don't know if you guys read any of President Trump's tweets. It's enough to just show you blatantly outright that this is some kind of a joke, that he's teaming up with celebrities and talk show hosts. And it just all seems like Hollywood now. It just all seems like Hollywood. And guess what? It is. There's no left, there's no right. It's all wings of the same bird. They're all puppeteers. They're all 3D lower vibratory matrix playing NPC characters that are just playing their role in waking humanity up. And you should wake up to the fact that you're not going to change anything on that timeline. That timeline is going to continue to go forward. Your efforts are best spent on starting to take a look at the new earth. What happens when people raise their vibration and become consciously enlightened and they shift out of that old paradigm? They will start to see how ridiculous that is, and they will get to know that they can't actually change that system. They will set their eyes forward and start creating with their internal vision of what the new earth frequency is going to look like, what the new earth paradigm is going to look like. And I will help you out here a little bit because I have channeled what government systems are going to look like in the future. And I just want to start off by saying people that are vibrating at a higher level of consciousness are not going to be people that are stealing. They're not going to be people that are sabotaging others and con artists and perpetrating children and pushing agendas that are really damaging to the fabric of humanity. People vibrating at a higher level of consciousness, take for example, they don't even go through divorce that way. People vibrating at a certain level of consciousness, if you have two partners, if you're lucky enough to have two partners in a divorce that are vibrating at a higher level of consciousness, that are heart centered, enlightened, conscious, empathic, emotionally aware people, they are going to work the situation out amicably. They're going to do their internal work and trust in the universe's orchestration of having things happen in such a way where it is a win for you and it's a win for me. And it can be a very pleasant experience. It's called conscious uncoupling. It's just one example of how when people are at a certain level of consciousness, it doesn't have to turn ugly. It doesn't have to rip your heart out and strip you away of your life force energy. The same way that people that are governing themselves, if you are dedicated to learning about yourself, to healing yourself, you're going to treat people how you treat yourself. And if you have gone within and you have raised your vibration, you have loved yourself, and you've had compassion for the parts of yourself that are broken, you're going to extend that same grace, that same understanding, that same compassion for the rest of the human collective. When you really recognize that we are all one, you don't want to jeopardize, you don't want to hurt or disrespect any other part of this living organism, this oneness, because we are all of it. So I'm going to share 5 points that I have channeled that are going to help you get an idea of what the New Earth government is going to be. So instead of government, I want you to think of governance. So in government, we have top-down individuals like top-down pyramids, and you have your hierarchies. Decisions are made by very few elites up at the top, and then typically everybody suffers underneath. In the new earth paradigm, it's going to be more of a circle or a web of power and responsibility that is distributed amongst conscious members of the community. Everybody has a voice. Leadership rotates based on the natural gifts that people have that are coming to light. And everybody vibrating at a certain level of consciousness is going to bring forth solutions and resolutions for full restoration on Earth and how to heal certain aspects of humanity. Like I said, it's going to be self-governance as a foundation. So every person is encouraged and expected to govern themselves first, which means they act with integrity, kindness, awareness, and their actions ripple outward. And with people that are self-responsible, less control from the outside is needed. Much like small communities where I think they still exist in Switzerland, where you have these small communities of people that get together at a city council, they all weigh in on something and then collaboratively come up with a resolution that works for them. That is similar to how it's going to be in the New Earth frequency. You're going to have this formed consensus based on transparent discussions that you're going to have, no secret deals, no voting blocks. You're going to make that decision available to serve everybody that's involved. As things evolve on Earth, instead of having static laws that stay the same, even though things evolve and they just keep piling more laws and more laws on top of one another, it's not going to be like that. It will be like living agreements that you have, and people are going to meet and check in like, is this still working for us? They're going to be uh living agreements that allow people to grow and evolve and have situations evolve, and it's going to keep the governance agile and responsive rather than being stuck in outdated rules. In the new earth paradigm, we're not going to be seeing any secret deals. We're not going to be following leaders out of fear or manipulation. It's going to be by resonance. So, leaders that come forth and are offering resolutions and solutions for people and that are naturally being called to leadership, those types of people are going to open up the floor for everybody to participate in. Like, all decision making is going to be of the people. So we're going to actually see democracy, because they've lied to us. The illusion of democracy is to elect a certain individual and vote for somebody. But we all know that the options that they're giving us to vote are basically of the same stripe, right? It's the same party that is giving us the illusion that we're voting for different parties when we're not. So, truly, in the new earth paradigm, the governance is going to be amongst people like you and I that are wanting to make decisions together. So, from what I've seen, the New Earth government is not about more rules. It's actually less rules. Because if you think about it, at the end of the day, it's really simple, right? When you, like I said at the beginning, when you're vibrating at a certain level of consciousness, you don't seek out to hurt people or disrespect or disrupt the grid. You are a natural steward of the earth. You live with integrity and live with self respect and compassion for you and all living beings, that you want that for others. You are constantly thinking about the well being of all people. You are no longer singling certain groups out, creating hierarchies. Everybody gets to be a sovereign being, but everybody works collectively together to make it a beautiful place. And so, there's really not a lot of laws that need to take place. It's going to be more about connection and collective wisdom, instead of power and having power over one another. It's going to be a co creation and self mastery first. And then the people that are naturally led teachers to teach and help other people, those ones with the calling of leadership, are naturally going to rise a little bit, only for the purposes of presenting from a like a higher perspective to others, and then give others the power to weigh in on it. I have also seen in my visions that we are, because I know what you're thinking. If you're thinking what I was thinking, it's like, well, how are we going to do this with people that are just all over the map? This person thinks that that's good. That one thinks that this is good. Him over here, he thinks that this is the way that the earth should be run. And like, how are we all going to get on the same page with everything, with all of our different backgrounds, for how deeply conditioned each one of us has been, and for the things that we're still deconditioning ourselves from? How is this all going to work? So, yes, internal mastery and internal healing is going to happen first. And so we're not going to have completely deranged, unhealed people that still have a lot of internal work to do rising to the surface to make other decisions for other people. But at the same time, what I've also seen is the Galactic Federation is really going to come in and help us with quantum blueprints on actually what is real and what's not. There's quantum blueprints of truth that are going to come in that help us to slice through the illusion and help us to slice through the agendas and the conditioning and the propaganda and programming, and help us see what actually is true, what is actually designed to help humanity, what is designed for solution and resolution, and allows for each individual to be sovereign, but also work together, because that's the most important thing. So, the way that I visualize this is like legit. Literally, the Galactic Federation is going to download quantum codes for us to be able to slice through illusion, which we are already doing. If you can see that the level of government that we're dealing with now is nothing but a Saturday Night Live skit. Nothing makes sense. Nothing feels real. It all feels like one big joke. You're already slicing through a level of illusion. You're already being able to see beyond the veil. If you have shifted from a place of self gratification, of capitalism, in the sense that, like, I don't care who I claw over, whose head I step on, I'm climbing the ladder and I'm going to get to the top and I'm going to be number one. If you've already shifted from that to a mentality where you want everybody to prosper, where you're envisioning in your third eye that none of us should be paying taxes, none of us should be paying interest. It's called usury, something that H wanted to completely abolish, by the way. That I can't say his name, so I have to say H. But yeah, that's something that he wanted to completely abolish. It's called usury, to owe money to a certain group of people that say you owe money to them, even though your house materials are paid for, the labor is paid for. If that's a done deal, then you should own your house. But oh, no, 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 no. There has to be this crazy high increased number of cajillion dollars that now you're somehow indebted to this small group of people. You have to pay taxes on it, and income tax and land tax and transfer tax. And even then, you don't have a colonial title on your land. They still technically own your house and your land. It's completely ridiculous. If you're looking at that and you're thinking nobody should have to pay into that, nobody should have to deal with that. We have lots of gardens, we have fertile soil, we can grow our own vegetables, we can be self sustainable, we can co collab together. There's no reason why anybody should be suffering if we can just get full restoration here on Earth so that everybody can shift out of survival mode and get into creativity and start collaborating and helping each other out. That's what comes natural to new earth creators. So if you've already shifted out of that paradigm, you're well on your way to being a part of the new earth paradigm that's coming in, and being part of the new governance that's happening, because that's exactly how it happens, is people that are shifting out of that old me mentality and looking and asking themselves, how can I best serve others? How can I bring my spiritual gifts online and help other people? How can I make this world a better place? Who can I collab with? How can we create this full restoration for everything in humanity? Those are the quantum blueprints that are coming for us in very soon. Like early summer 2026 and 2027. In fact, with the contact, full disclosure, that's happening, and an alien contact that will be happening within the next 3 years, I believe, we are going to receive blueprints that are going to show us how we can make this work. So, my message for you right now is, if you're looking at the government, first of all, if you're still thinking that one side is better than another, you got to drop that. It's not. The whole thing is fake. It's a skit. It's a theater. It's the extension of Hollywood. Okay. Because they're literally, the people in government go through government programs that create personas and create people, and they change their identities, they change their names, they go and fill these different roles. They're trained, government trained, with lots of different high tech conditioning programming, like MK Mind Ultra. That's, that was big back in the 60s, but that kind of programming is happening to create people in levels of power that are part of this hive. And everywhere you look, at every level of government, the people that are filling these spots are actors to a certain degree. The whole system has been deeply infiltrated. So please don't take any of the current candidates. Please don't take any of those people too seriously. Know that old earth timeline is just going to keep going. It is a circus, and it is just the fun house full of clowns, and it's not going anywhere. If you want to do yourself a service, don't get all Don't get all twisted up in that narrative. Don't let this loose your energy. Don't let this rattle the bone for justice in your body, because that is not a timeline that we are meant to focus our efforts on any longer. Okay. You are meant to shift your focus into the new earth paradigm. Take care of yourself, raise your vibration, create heaven on earth for yourself, and view in your third eye and in your dreams and in your reality and in your expansion when you're meditating. Send out the ripple effects for the new earth frequency to ripple out, so that there will be a quantum governance of people self-governing, co-collaborating to create a new earth paradigm in which there is harmony and balance and restoration and all the things that we desire for now. In light of how dystopian things are, there's a natural born desire of what we would rather want. So I want you to focus on the things that you would, of how you would rather have society work, how you would rather have the earth work, and focus on that and project that out into the future collective. Because by doing that, you are a new earth creator. You are creating the new timeline. And that is exactly what you're designed to do right now. You can have fun and look at the old earth paradigm and be like, that is a circus. Like, that's just crazy town. But don't anchor into that anymore. Don't allow it to loose your energy. Detach from it entirely, because it is ick. It is gross. You just want to completely like have nothing to do with that insanity. But what you do need to do, because you got to do something, if you're not giving your energy towards that, then you got to give it towards the new earth paradigm. Okay. Until next time, thanks for listening, guys.